Hello boys and girls. So in today's tutorial lesson, our learning objective is we are going to apply the Newton's law of motion. So in previous tutorial, we learned how to identify the forces acting on an object. So today we are going to apply the Newton's law to determine the value of the forces, or we want to determine if the forces exert on the object causes acceleration, then how we are going to apply the Newton's law to determine the value of the acceleration. So this is the learning objective. We are going to apply Newton's law of motion in order to determine the magnitude and the direction of the forces that acting on the object. For example, I would like to know about how large is the normal reaction force, how large is the tension force, and then if the object causes, the forces causes acceleration, then I would like to determine how large is the acceleration experienced by the object. So all this can be determined by applying Newton's law of motion. So basically, we have three Newton's law of motions: Newton's first law, second law, and third law. So in this short video, we are going to recap what you learned in the lecture on this last Monday, what is meant by Newton's first law. So according to Newton's first law, if the forces that acting on an object are balanced, or we say the resultant force, net force, or we call it as net force. Ada buku dia guna net force. If the net force or resultant force acting on an object is zero, the forces are balanced. For example, this one, what you means by balance? Balance means the rightward force equal to the leftward force. So the rightward force, for example, 5 Newton, minus the leftward force is 5 Newton also. So the value is 0. And then the upward force minus the downward force is equal to 0. They are balanced. Nilai dia sama. So 2 Newton minus 2 Newton equal to 0. So when the forces that exert on an object are balanced, the resultant force equal to 0, what are going to happen to the motion of the object? What are going to happen to the motion of the object? You will find out that the acceleration of the object will be 0. So the object won't have any acceleration. It means that if the object is originally at rest, it will remain at rest. Kalau objek tu pada asalnya dia tidak bergerak, then dia akan kekal dalam keadaan tidak bergerak lah. Then we call this one as static equilibrium. So keadaan ni kita beri dia nama khas, kita panggil sebagai static equilibrium. But not necessary when the force balance object is at rest. Sometimes you might find out that when the forces are balanced, the object is in motion. So what are going to happen to the object that is in motion? So if the resultant force is 0, if the object is in motion, it will continue to move in a straight line with constant velocity. It will continue to move with constant velocity. So it means that kalau objek tu bergerak, dia akan bergerak dengan constant velocity. It will move with constant velocity. So constant velocity telling you that the acceleration is 0. Tidak ada pecutan. The acceleration is 0. The value of the velocity remain the same. Okay, so this is the motion of the object when the forces are balanced. So if the object in motion, it moves with constant velocity, this kind of situation, we call it as dynamic equilibrium. Dynamic equilibrium. So for Newton's first law, so according to Newton's first law, when the summation or resultant force equal to 0, there will be two conditions lah untuk pergerakan kita. Sama ada objek at rest, dia akan kekal at rest. Objek yang bergerak, dia akan bergerak dengan constant velocity. So, dia akan bergerak dengan constant velocity. So, this is what we call Newton's first law. So, how I'm going to know that in a situation given, the forces of the object is balanced or not? How I'm going to know? I need to apply Newton's first law. So, we will find for the keywords. So, you tengok dalam nota you, saya ada bagi keywords to identify how, in what condition you need to apply Newton's first law. So, kalau ada perkataan constant velocity, at rest, in equilibrium, static, at the verge of motion, just begin to slide, baru nak bergerak tapi belum bergerak lagi. Okay, static equilibrium, dynamic equilibrium, forces are balanced. So, kalau you jumpa semua keywords ni, then you tahu you kena apply Newton's first law. Apa tu Newton's first law? The summation of forces equal to 0. Then everyone understood force is a vector quantities. So when I say the summation force equal to 0, it means that the summation of the x component forces is 0. The summation force along the y component is also 0. So you boleh resolvekan dia. Lihat dari segi komponen X dan juga komponen Y. Dua-dua komponen tu nilai dia mesti sama dengan kosong. Okay? So that one is Newton's first law.